Hi, I'm Joanna Ruth. I'm from Low to Zero Carb, and today we're going to be talking about why are you choosing fasting?
The Fasting Information Series. Why are you choosing
So,
fasting?
why are you choosing fasting? What is it that you think fasting is going to do for you, or give you, or be? How do you think it's going to be? So, this is part of a series that will be in a playlist. It's called something like Fasting Info or Fasting Information. And because I have the Low to Zero Carb public group and members group, and then the private coaching, if either of those options are not enough for you to get to where you want to get to, I get lots of questions. So, in preparation for the video to answer those questions, I realized I needed to make a few other videos. So, they're all going to end up in a playlist called Fasting Info or Information. And I prepare it by making notes, nice, colorful notes. And I teach a class like teachers do. So, why are you choosing fasting? I think it's really important to understand what it is you want to achieve and make sure that you're choosing the right action to take. So, first of all, fasting does require preparation, especially for the female body. It requires more preparation for the female body than the male. Unfortunately for the women, men's bodies or male bodies can be pushed with willpower and adrenaline and not cause ill effect. Women's bodies do not fall into that category. We actually need a calm state. So there is preparation. Clarity of mind, very, very important. You do need to have a big why. You need to have great purpose. A sprinkle perhaps of weirdness, less and less these days. It's growing. The fasting action is becoming a little bit more normalized. Um, but when I say to people, I haven't eaten for 11 days, huh? They don't quite understand. So it's not completely normal. So a little weird goes a long way. And a pinch of desperation would not go astray to get you to do all the parts that you require. So without mental and physical preparation, you're always going to remain in the learning phases. So the learning phases before fasting can involve recognition of it being a learning phase, or you could be trying to do it without the preparation, without the learning, and say that you're just doing it, and then you will fail at it, and then you will reinforce the self-critical idea that you're not good at it, or you can't do it. There's something different about you. And what is different about you is you haven't learned all the things you need to learn. You haven't taught your body, you haven't taught your mind. So I've got a list after doing some research. I have a list of some of the potential benefits of extended fasting. So extended fasting being longer than, say, 4 or 5 days, which in terms of the research, what that's talking about is 2 or 3 days of adaptation. So the studies, there are no particular studies on people who are carnivore. There are no particular studies, people who are ketovore or even low carb. So what they are looking at when they report these outcomes or possible outcomes is that a person is going from a standard diet into fasting, which means they are pushing themselves through the changeover between using carbohydrates as fuel to using fats for fuel. And in that process, the body may very well likely use a bit of protein for fuel in the meantime before it realizes that it hasn't got a lot of that either, and maybe it'll now do the harder yards, which is use fat. And it is easier for a body to use carbohydrates for fuel, and then a little less easy to use protein, and then a lot less easy to use fat. So yes, you do have to do some preparation, or fasting is hard. And it's awful. And if you're in a female body, you will create a whole lot of stress, which is going to be to your detriment anyway. So here are some of the positive parts, the benefits of extended fasting. So the first one we have is autophagy, which is the breaking down of proteins in your body that are misfolded, they've been used up, they've been broken in some way, and now they're just sitting like in a garage waiting to be taken away, recycled or yeah. So, some people can actually achieve a mild state of autophagy without any fasting at all. All they have to do is say a very basic, simple carnivore diet where they have just the proteins that they need and the fats that they need. Others, like me, need to provide a little bit more of a desperate circumstance for the body. Um, I have to give my body no protein because I have so much lipedema tissue. Um, I have it in places that they say you don't even get it. I have it all through my torso in the front. I have it in both my arms. I have it in both my thighs, all around my hips and buttocks. Um, I believe perhaps I have it in my breasts as well. So, I've had a story that's perpetuated the need for fortification and being held together because I wasn't strong enough. And I've had that story for 40 years, which I don't have anymore, which is awesome, allowing me to fast. But that's why there's so much in the garage. I've got proteins that also are containing fats in my garages. So I need high-end autophagy to fix my problem, and that's what I have to provide. I provide the context of fasting. So that's one of my reasons to really be sticking out the fasting process and doing it in a very well-prepared, stable, consistent manner, because I don't have time to wait to live my life. I want a fast-paced, active life because that's who I am, and I haven't up until this point been allowed to have it. So the next thing is metabolic health, another thing that I'm really interested in. Um, so you can improve your insulin sensitivity. Um, you can increase the body's comfort of having ketones for fuel. So at the moment, I am very much getting my body used to having ketones for fuel, and I have very high ketones every single day now. I think I'm on day 11, I think, of my fast, and I'm averaging really nice ketones from waking all the way through the day now. So they don't go up and down as much; they just stay up and a little higher. The next one is weight loss, which is the majority of it is fat loss because within a day you require a far greater amount of energy than you do proteins, the minimum of both. So the rate of fat loss also it tends to increase around day 5. So what they're talking about is your ketone production is going to ramp up, and that has actually occurred with me. My ketone production in the first week was probably from about 1.5 through to 3.5 range, and now in the second week I'm the minimum would be 3 and the maximum is like 5.5. So the ketones have gone up for me in the second week and beyond, and the usage of fat for fuel is really become normalized inside my body, which is fantastic. So that is a real if weight loss is what you're after, a fat weight loss is what you're after, then extending your fast beyond the 5 days is really helpful. And if you want autophagy more than you want weight loss, then perhaps you would do shorter fasts where you don't you don't let your ketones go too high for too long because then you have to spend time to put the weight back on your body. Um, but that might work for you too. I mean, it is all an N of one experiment, isn't it? We can't consider ourselves like cookie cutters. There's no cookie cutter thing. There's information and there's context and there's your life and you need to figure it out. So the next one is cardiovascular benefits. So fasting does potentially lower your blood pressure and it can change your lipid profile as well. And they say that It basically will be more what your doctor will approve of. I'm not sure if that's great or not. It just is what it is. The next one is inflammation reduction. So markers for inflammation, generalist inflammation in your body, can reduce. The next one is brain health. So we have potentially a neuroprotection factor. So it's possible that cognitive function and neurogenesis benefits could occur. And this is because we have high ketones and reduced inflammation at the same time. And this will allow the brain cells, which can regenerate. All these years, the science has been saying, oh, no, no, you can't build this and you can't build that. And now they're finding out, oh, yeah, you can. You can do it all your life. We didn't know because we hadn't found it. So just because the science says, oh, no, you can't, I think maybe that's a little wrong. So the next one is detoxification. Liver function can increase because it's through autophagy and other cleaning mechanisms in the body. Because the body is completely rested, you're not even having to expend any kind of digestion effort. There's a lot of cleaning up that happens. And I have noticed that even around day 8, 9, 10, even though from day 3 through to day, say, 7, I had no poops. And then all of a sudden, I have poops. And this is not because I'm eating. This is because my body is cleaning things out and it builds up enough and it allows you to let go of them. So this is a form of autophagy and detoxification, or an effect of it. We also have the immune system potentially resetting and then regenerating. So what they're talking about is through the fasting process, I think autophagy is referring to proteins, but we have the breaking down of broken things through an extended fast in all areas of our body, including our immune system cells. So it seems very hard to picture visually what immune cells look like or that they are there, because they don't have an organ, that they're associated with, but they are there. We all have experienced a whole resetting of our understanding of immune systems in the last few years. And long-term fasting or extended fasting seems to suggest, the research seems to suggest that during fasting, there is the killing off of old immune cells because there's nothing for those immune cells to respond to. So for the longest time, you're not giving your body anything, like any information. There's no signals coming in at all other than water and electrolytes. So your immune system is a part of you that is seeking to know what's going on in the outside world. The outside world is generally the food that you put into it, into your digestive system. And if you give your digestive system a long enough break, the immune cells have no purpose anymore. Yeah. So once you start refeeding is when your new immune cells will build. So keep in mind, if you're going to fast, when you break your fast into carnivore, keep it simple, keep it clean, so that as you eat, you don't create immune cells that are going to give you more autoimmune problems. Keep it simple. Mitochondrial health, we've got increases of efficiency, which leads to increased energy levels and vitality. They say post-fast, but I feel it already now. My amount of movement has maybe tripled. My energy levels, my mood for movement. Yeah, my mood for movement has increased. And it isn't just the kilograms lost. I've probably lost a quarter or a fifth of what I intend to. It's the availability of energy. So it's the mitochondrial health, yeah, that is really picking up. And it's not always smooth sailing. I mean, I have times where I'm a bit tired and I have times where I'm a bit cold or I'm a bit, not quite there here and there. But my body moves through it just like normal. Yeah, just like normal. So the last one we have is hormonal changes, which I am very much impressed with. So you do get shifts in levels, and I am really liking my experience of fasting through my cycles. Um, I I'm quite aware of how my body move, not usually without fasting, moves through cycles and through my entire sliding down from low to zero carb as well. And I am quite impressed with how balanced and normal my my change of cycle is being is really quite wonderful. But in addition to that, we have the increase of growth hormone, which aids in fat burning, muscle maintenance, and repair. And I really do feel that, I mean, previous to fasting, I would swim, and I like swimming because I'm strong and I have a good stroke and I'm graceful in the water. And I'm not on land, and I have never been because I've always had this story creating this disharmony and lack of balance and heaviness. So in the water, I feel like a dolphin. Yeah. So now, before fasting, I would swim, and on the day that I swam, after I swam, I would be cognitively spent. There would be nothing else I could do in the day other than maybe I couldn't even read a book, to be honest. I would just have to watch some kind of programming on television or YouTube, etc. Now I not only do I do multiple activities in the day, so prior to fasting, I would take my dog for a walk and swim, and that'd be it. Um, Now I take my dog for a walk and then I go swimming and then I'll come home and I'll work for a few hours and then I'll take my dog for another walk in the afternoon and then I'll come home and I'll maybe do a little bit of work a little slower, but I will keep going. My cognitive ability is still right up there, and the next day I as the fast moves on, I have less tiredness in the following day. I don't have any muscle soreness, and like I don't remember that I went swimming the day before, which I used to always remember. Oh yeah, I went swimming yesterday. My shoulders are a bit sore. Now everything is strong and not sore, and even on the day that I'm swimming, I forget that I swam that day because I feel still so energized and muscularly robust. So I am seeing huge differences in that too. So that is a very potentially large laundry list of reasons to get yourself prepared for fasting. And some or all of these possible outcomes might fuel your reasons for taking on the job of fasting. But you do have to understand that it is a job. Just like anything else, you have to be prepared for it, or you're setting yourself up for failure. And when you set yourself up for failure, you're teaching yourself that you are not good at something, but really the truth is you were not good at preparing for it. So hence why I'm trying to make it clear that if you're going to do a 24-hour fast on Yom Kippur, because you're Jewish, and yeah, push through that. It's a once a year thing. You're meant to struggle. You're meant to be a bit needy. You're meant to forgive your misdoings. You're meant to ask. It brings you a little bit to your knees. Wouldn't for me, but for most people. But if you're going to do fasting protocols, whichever fasting protocols, whatever level of fasting you're going to do, you do need to prepare yourself on all levels. You need to be prepared if you want success. If you want success. So my word of warning is, yes, you need a good solid why, yeah, for moving into fasting. Don't do it on a whim. You won't do very well if you do it on a whim. Men respond very well to fasting because the male hormonal system responds quite differently to stress, which occurs when a person uses willpower. The female hormonal system is much more delicate, and it responds very poorly to stresses brought upon it. And so that's why fasting with willpower very, very rarely works for females. Um, and this is why many YouTube educators and influencers say that fasting is bad for women. Fasting is not bad for women. If you prepare correctly so that you can fast with calmness, fasting is great for women. So this is why we must change the story that is forcing the use of willpower. This is the part of the puzzle that so many people are missing. Because half the population are men, and men's bodies work differently to women's bodies. So a man can successfully do a very difficult thing and be charged up by it. And you take a woman and they will unsuccessfully do something that they have to push through. So women have to do different work. We have to do more preparation work. We have to make sure that we don't have a conflicting story that causes us to use willpower to achieve a goal. We have to do it the smart way, not the hard way. So, unfortunately, this isn't the video to go into how to change your story. There will be others. So, save the playlist. There will be more. But I want to impress upon you how important it is. With a conflicting story, you will not get the results. You will have a very rough time. And you'll only get very, very small gains. You will, however, reinforce the learning of your entire lifetime that life is supposed to be difficult. And finally, you will conclude that you are not good at it. And you will reinforce your self-judgment. We all know in this day and age that there are other ways to live life. You don't have to live with this arduous sense of never-ending work that doesn't get you anywhere. I fought very hard myself. I have lived as both people, the one who works hard, thinking that I'm working smart, but I was really just working hard. I was working very hard at being smart, but I wasn't the smartest I needed to be until I knew that there was a smarter way, which is to address the stories. So without the story, once you conquer this story, you re-educate your dragon about today's truth. Without this story, you are free to understand your body honestly, without an emotional cloud. You can decide on a course of action and obey it cleanly. You can course correct in a timely manner. You can achieve goals and easily find ways to celebrate without sabotaging those exact goals. You will learn that life is not a free ride, but it's also not a battle. So I implore you to stop embracing the struggling. Reject it. Reject the struggle and reject using willpower. Save it when you really need it. Put your focus on cleaning up your stories. That's going to bring you the success, and not temporarily either. It's a permanent fix to what seems like a very persistent problem. So finally, I will share with you how I prepared myself for fasting. So the first stages are to reduce all carbohydrates. I took out all the plants and I took out all the dairy. So all of these things, the carbohydrates, the plants, and the dairy, they're all inflamers and they're all signals that you don't want. Even if you love and adore them, they are signals that you don't want. If you're going to fast, you need to get your body used to not having some of these signals. Eventually, you will not have any signals other than salt and water. So if you do it all at once, it will be very painful. But if you do it slowly, it will be less painful. You'll get used to, you'll acclimatize and normalize taking away carbs from your diet, taking away all the plants and then take out all the dairy. You could do them all at the same time if you want. We can do them one at a time. Depends how much of a hurry you're in. So then after that, I practiced OMAD and I learned about my physical results to fasting. I had a very severe adrenaline response after 1 week of OMAD. I lost my calm, totally lost my calm. So my story, my dragon was arcing up like nobody's business. So then after that, I was eating 3 meals a day to calm my nervous system. It's all right, it's all right. And then I ate high fat carnivore to ensure I was using fat as fuel and my brain knew its environment well. So this is the stage where you're actually mimicking the fast. Yeah? So you're increasing the percentage of fat and you're lowering down the percentage of protein because it's relative. You're only eating those two parts, the fat and the protein. This is exactly what your body is going to be sourcing from itself when you fast. So this is a mimicking diet. So when people reject the idea of priming, they are rejecting the idea of getting their body used to exactly what it's going to be doing, but not through the digestive system, through the internal mechanisms of the body. So I don't understand why a person would reject the notion of priming. Perhaps they don't understand what priming truly is. Priming is getting your body used to what it's going to be doing when it's fasting. And why wouldn't you give it a lift, a leg up? Why wouldn't you prepare it for what signals it's going to have to acclimatize to in a more difficult way? Why give your body 3 jobs to do when it can just do one at a time? So my only way forward was to change my story so I wasn't triggering the adrenaline response. That was the only thing that I was missing in the 3 things that you need for fasting. I have plenty of fat still. It's coming off slowly. Um, and I had taught my body to be used to and calm and happy with eating high fat carnivore, so protein and fat, at closer percentages to what my body requires daily. So that's what it's going to require from itself when I step into fasting. And the only thing that I needed to resolve was that adrenaline signal when I did step into fasting. So I investigated for the lie in my story and I found it. I replaced it with today's truth. And then I knew within myself completely I wasn't going to have that adrenaline response. So I attempted fasting that very day and I intermittently fasted due to an old habit, which I then caught because I have this clarity of consciousness because the story wasn't there. I caught it the next day and I never knew that I had that habit, pardon me, because it was caused by the lie in my story. So you have the story, and that story will create habits for you. But once you have the clarity of mind, because the story isn't there anymore, you can catch those habits and you just make a decision that no, that's not happening anymore. So after that first day of intermittent fasting, I then fasted for 5 days and I felt calm while I fasted. I was hyper aware of everything that was happening and I kept a diary because I'd been in a state of not being able to fast for such a long time. I wanted to make sure I was educating myself absolutely, completely, and fully about fasting and how my body was doing. Then I refed for 2 days and I learned all about refeeding, probably a little bit the hard way. I didn't listen, I didn't educate myself beforehand. So I learned how slow you have to go, but I also learned about um, that, well, I thought I was really hungry. That I wasn't really hungry. I just missed food, yeah, which is not a body signal. It's a mental concept. I missed food, like my friend food. So when I ate too much of it the first day of refeeding, I suffered. Yeah, so I changed my perception about missing food from that experience. I then fasted for another 5 days and I learned a lot about electrolytes and salt and how how when I'm carnivore, I needed this much, but when I'm fasting, I need this much. Um, so I didn't make myself ill. I just broke the fast on day 5 and I refed for 2 days. And in those 2 days, I checked that I understood all that I had learned the week before when I refed, and I had. I did a very successful refeed. And so I was very happy that I had done it. Then I fasted again for 5 days and I had learned enough that I had no more upsets. I was calm, smooth sailing the whole 5 days. Then I refed for 2 days again. And in that refeeding, I realized I didn't really need to. I didn't miss the food anymore. I could have gone longer. Um, I don't think I'm not craving anything. And I refed and I felt like, oh, this is really wasting my time. So on 10 a.m. on the second day of the refeed, I finished up all the eating and ended the refeed and went back into fasting. I then, on that day, I began a potential, so 10 a.m. on the last day of the refeed, I began a potential 47-day fast because in my calendar, I've got 47 days until I need to refeed so that I am prepared for enjoying a really lovely celebration with my family of friends. And that will take me about, 47 days of fasting before I need to do that. And I'm now on day 11 and smooth sailing. However, without the story change, I would have been stuck on carnivore and balancing my meals to not put on weight, just like I had been doing for several years. I cannot tell you how happy I am right now. I mean, I'm being all teacher serious and everything. I am so happy. I'm so relieved. This has been a struggle for such a long time, and I know that I'm not the only one because we all have stories. Not all of us have stories that affect our wellness, but some of us have stories that affect our wellness in ways that make it feel like it's an impossible battle. And I'm here to tell you that it is not, absolutely not. The smartest way to deal with these things is to investigate your story. It's so easy to learn the information now. It's all out there. We've got testimonials from all over the world, people in all different contexts, all different situations, all different ages, men, women, young people, old people. It's all out there. There's no doubts, there's no worries about trying this. But your capacity to do it is much more than just the information that you can collect. It's the story that that dragon part of you is still telling you. And you may not be ready to change your story, but you have to understand that the reason why your body is functioning the way that it's functioning is because of the story. And that in itself may bring you to readiness to change your story. You cannot just work in the physical world. You have to understand that you are a thinking being. You have a brain, you have a mind, you have a subconscious, you have a conscious, and you have to learn to use it correctly. We have to understand how it affects our physical world. We live here in our physical bodies, and we need to be able to have agency over our physical bodies so that we can live the lives that we want to be living. So just as the lie in the story created a fat, slow body for me, the truthful story now is creating a thinner, smaller, fitter body. And I can't seem to go against it. I mean, sometimes I have thoughts of, well, I could just refeed and go out for dinner. And then I think, why? Do you really have a good reason? Passover in another 36 days or whatever it is. That's a good reason. I don't have a good reason to stop the fast. I mean, when I do, I will. And if tomorrow something happens in my body and I crave food or I really know I must eat, I'll eat. It's not like I'm anorexic or something. I don't have a psychological problem. I am compelled to do what it takes to bring my physical body into alignment with the story. So you see, a story creates a state in your body, and you can't deny that state. So here's how it works. because I can't seem to go against this new state in my body. So I want to explain to you the chain of events. So the experience creates a fear. The fear creates a dragon with a story. The story creates a state in your body, which is chemical. It's real. It's physical. The state in your body creates your physical body because you can try to use willpower, but in women, it will bring you down. So for us women, we more than men cannot deny the state that has been created in our body. Your willpower is very limited. So you can try to beat it, the state in your body, but eventually you'll get tired and you'll break. We all do. And your willpower can only swim upstream for as long as it can before it lets go and, taken down by the river. So I know it seems terribly hard because it's a new idea, but it really isn't. I have learned this idea many, many moons ago from ancient wisdom. I studied with Indigenous Hawaiians, a lineage that has kept its traditions and its teachings. And I have known for a very, very long time that in the Hawaiian culture, they talk about the bowl of light. It's a very beautiful story. So as you live your life, you have a bowl when you're born, and as you live your life, you collect rocks, stones in your bowl, and it becomes heavier and heavier over time. And you still have to carry around your bowl full of stones. And if you're lucky, you have a community that explains to you that all you have to do is simply turn your bowl upside down, and your stones will all fall out, and you'll be free from them. I learned this in 2018. I've known this for a very long time. And so, yes, it does take time to test these things out. And I'm one of those people who has to go first in life. I have so many clients over the years who have said, why do I have to go first? And I go, because you can. Because we are an enormous community of humanity, and some of us have the ability to go first. And if we have that ability to go first, do it. Go first. Show everyone the way. So I am here to help you. You don't have to wait so many years and struggle for so many years. If you have someone that you can access for help, just ask for it. Just ask. Just ask. Don't worry. Don't let your dragon tell you a story that gets in the way of you asking. Yeah? So, on a brighter note to finish off the video, because gee, it's been a long one. Here's why I chose fasting. And you will have different reasons, or maybe some of the same ones. So I want the fat gone off my body, and fasting is the fast track. And so I'm all in. I want my lipedema tissue to reduce, and the only option for me is to have my body break it down, and it has to happen for me through fasting. And at the same time, with the lipedema tissue being broken down slowly because I'm not giving my body any external proteins, it has to, and I'm exercising. So I'm creating demand for protein, and my body has to source it from itself. And the story's gone. So there's no need for this fortification to hold that lipedemic tissue. So as the proteins are broken down because I'm creating demand and I no longer have any psychology holding it in my body, I'm also releasing more fat, which keeps me going in the fast. Okay, I love high ketones. Can you tell my ketones are high? It's a bit like having coffee without the crash. And I really I want to get used to having high ketones, and then I want to feel compelled to do things to have high ketones in my body because it's a magnificent state. And it isn't just about how your brain feels when you're on high ketones. It's also it's very healthy to have periods of high ketosis. Ketones are very, very reparative. Growth hormone. Wow. I didn't expect this one now that I know all about it. I am really impressed, really, really impressed because the longer I fast, the longer I move along this process, pardon the pun, the faster I am on this track of wanting to exercise more. So in the first weeks of fasting, I was swimming once a week. Then I moved to twice a week. Now I'm doing 3 times a week, and I have enough energy in between those exercising days to maybe in a week or so, maybe go and do some other exercise on the days in between. Yeah. So it's definitely ramping up, definitely ramp. And I didn't think I would be on such a fast trajectory of movement, increased movement. On the psychological side, I am loving fasting because it is helping me master my perceptions of food. So when you have spent, and I know many of you have spent a long, long time in your life having a story that compels you to eat all the time. And it isn't always about the eating. Sometimes it is about the feeling of being fed. In fact, I think it's more about changing state in your body than it is about the food in your mouth, although food's very tasty. Um, Having absolutely no food for now a long time. I feel 11 days is a long time to not have food, but I believe I will go the 47 days. I am very much looking forward to, see, at the moment, I don't know how I feel about food because I haven't had any for 11 days. Um, I know how I felt about food. When I come to uh, eating again in, say, another month, um, I don't know how I'm going to feel about food, but I know that I will have a very objective perspective about food. Um, so I really like that. I also like the fact I'm really indulging in the fact that I was compelled to always be full, and therefore always had to eat, and now I'm not compelled at all to eat at all. I'm not even tempted. So the habit of being around food and picking it up, that's gone because my dog actually eats some of the same food that I eat. So when I feed my dog every day, 3 times, he's a dash hound, lazy dash hound, um, it's food that I would have around me and I would eat. I think for probably a week now, I haven't had any temptation to pick up any food. And I'm now not worried if I like lick my finger after I've picked up some sardines to put on his bowl. Because in the beginning, I'm thinking, oh, don't put anything in your mouth. Don't want any temptations. Now it's not a temptation. My decision to not eat is bigger than any habit that formed from that story compelling me to always be full. So I'm really enjoying watching that process changing. I think the general self-mastery is very enlightening. Um, I like I like having proof of what is possible, and I don't mind being the proof of what's possible. And finally, the most liberating of all of it is that I realize now that the story that I had running truly was from the age of 12 and a half, something that stole my identity. I, until a month and a bit now, I was not myself. In fact, yesterday, I was at the swimming pool, and then I swim at a place that is next to the ocean, and so, well, the bay. It's not wild ocean, and it was a really nice day here yesterday. So I went after my swimming my kilometer. I grabbed my stuff and I went outside onto the beach, and I was swimming around, washing off all the chlorine with the salt water, and have a bit of a float. And I was thinking, wow, I don't think I really know who I am. I mean, I know who I am, but I don't think I've really experienced me. And this was prompted by the fact that, I wear like a bikini top, and then I wear a one piece. So when I'm in the ocean, I unravel the one piece down so that I can clean it all, clean my skin when I'm in the water. And I could feel, because the water's making my stomach float, I could feel how much smaller it was. And I realized, wow, I've never experienced myself like this. And it's going to keep changing. It's going to keep changing. There's no reason for it not to keep changing. So I think one of the reasons why I really feel, almost spiritually compelled to be on this road is I am really eager to meet myself. I'm really, really eager to meet my true self. And and I know now why I've been pushing so hard for so long and never giving up, because it is possible to live your life as yourself. And if you have a story that changed your identity, then maybe that's a good enough reason to go and get the help that you meant to go and get. It's a really interesting time in life now. The energies in the world are really changing dramatically, and I really feel this is the time for people to find their freedom. And whether it's through your health and wellness that you are prompted to find that freedom, which I have been, um, I was prompted by other things for my first story change, but I'm ultimately really grateful that I've had to live my life in this way of struggle and dysfunction and illness, because I am now having the time of my life witnessing it all falling away. And I just think that's kind of like a living miracle. And I'm really so grateful to be able to be sharing it with all of you. And I'm grateful in advance because I know what's coming. I know that this simple idea of the story, even though it's foreign to everyone, it's going to stick because it works. It is the problem. The story is the initial problem. Yes, all the toxins are a problem. Yes, all the carbohydrates can become a problem. The seed oils are really a big problem because they're not at all natural and they're full of chemicals and they react very badly in your body. But they're all physical things that you can choose. They're all physical things that you can cut out or bring in or change in your life. They're things you can touch and hold and buy or not buy. But the story that compels you to do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that, is not, can't touch it as much. But now is coming the time where we have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and trust that this is a true thing and that this will potentially change your entire life back into what your soul has been yearning for the whole time that you've been here living on the earth. So that's enough for me. I really do hope that that's been informative and helpful. And don't forget to save the playlist or work out a way that you can always come back to it. Of course, I will post the playlist, um, pin the link to the playlist in the groups. Please, if you're not in the Low to Zero Carb group, come on in and see what it's about. If you don't have Facebook, it's free to get Facebook. It doesn't take very long. You don't have to look at anything else on Facebook. You can go in and straight to the group, have a look what's going on occasionally. You never know how much you might get from it and how much you can give to other people through it as well. It's not just me gifting other people with information, although it is that as well. It's about other people talking to each other and helping each other. And the more we become successful with creating our lives via the wisdom that we have about fasting and carnivore and low carb and ketovore and all of that, combined with the wisdom of how to stop the compulsions and addictions and distractions and changing decisions and copping out and faking illness and all this different stuff that happens because you have a conflicting story from what your conscious goals are. We can, once we get on the same page with all of this, help abounds for everyone. And then you just send me the hard cases. And I'm more than happy with that. More than happy with that. So that's it from me. Don't forget that this movement of understanding how the story affects you, it relies on you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, share things, share posts, invite people to the group, all the things. Please don't judge who will reject or accept your invitations and your sharings, because you and I both know that nobody knows a person, only they do. Nobody lives inside their head, only they do. So, unless you think this is complete rubbish, please share it. Please subscribe, join the group, get involved, do what you can, because this is going to help not just one or two people, it's going to help millions of people. We just have to let them know that the help is there. So that's enough from me. I'm Joanna Ruth. See you in the group. Bye-bye. Here's a playlist for the entire series. Please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. See you in the next video.